Hello everyone, Sophia here, my great challenge. This is finally the last episode in my Mystery Quilt 2022. Oh, I have a visitor. Hi, Lucief. It took almost a year to finish this quilt. Almost a year, and it was a lot of work. I enjoyed every minute of it, but I am ready to finish it today. I am going to show you how to do the binding, and I'm only showing you this because I wanted to do a whole series on how to make a quilt. So if you're coming in late, please check the playlist. I'm putting it right here and at the end, where you can start from the beginning, where I literally make every single block on camera to show you how to make them. This is a free quilt, by the way. You can find it on Pat Sloan's website. It was called Sweet Dreams. She does 2 or 3 quilts a year that are free and are mystery. So she has a template. You can see what the positioning looks like, but you can't see what the blocks will look like. So each week she issues a new block. Everybody posts their block online, and you can see how many different color styles people are working on. So this is done. It's almost a queen size, a little bit over a queen size, and it took so much time because since it's a sample quilt, instead of a paw print right here, instead of a regular quilt where it's the same design repeated, I quilted every single block individually on my little tiny machine, which was difficult, but like I said, I enjoy doing it. So every single one of these is quilted with a different design, and that's why it took so long. I was only working maybe 1 to 2 hours a week on it, so you get an idea of how long it takes. A little bit over 140 hours altogether to make a quilt like this. So that gives you, I'm sorry about the furnace, that gives you an indication as to why large handmade quilts or quilts in general are so expensive, because the cost of labor, it's not the fabric, it's the cost of labor that is driving the price up. So this is the back of it, and before I do the binding, what I'm going to do is go through the entire quilt with my hands like this, and I'm going to pull out any thread that I may have that's poking out. So I'm basically cleaning up the back, and I'm going to go and get my bucket and put all those threads in the trash. So technically what you're supposed to do is bring the bobbin thread to the top, so you don't have the tail of it in the back, but sometimes I forget, and these are the ones I forgot. So it's going to take me a while. I'm probably going to be here for a good hour because I have to do the whole quilt like this, and some areas there's none at all because I did bring the thread up, and then others I do have to pick up the thread. It just makes it a little bit neater and cleaner in the back. Once I'm done with the binding, I will wash it. I have to go to the store and get the color, whatever you call it. It's a sheet of, it's like a dryer sheet, and it absorbs any kind of color that may be bleeding out of the quilt. In particular, the reds that I have in here, they're definitely color catcher, that's the name of it. because the quilt will bleed. I did not pre-wash my fabric. Alright, I'll see you in a bit. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish all of these. So now that I've removed all of my extra threads or anything that's dangling, I'm gonna start getting rid of all of the extra. So that's the backing and the batting. And I'm just gonna cut. And I need to stay parallel, perpendicular here, parallel to this as best as I can. And I'm just cutting off all of the excess throughout the entire quilt. Let's talk binding for a second. I usually bind my quilt in dark brown or black because I like that frame effect. For this one, the advantage of it is that it will bring back the browns or echo them that are inside the quilt. I just don't know if it's going to work out. So I have two more. I have this aqua that fits, but it's a little bit too light, and then I have this green that's not bad. Unfortunately, I just don't think I have enough. I'm gonna try with the green. I have enough of this blue. I don't have enough of the green. I'm gonna do it in blue. It's not my first pick, but that's what I'm gonna do. All right, let's do the blue. So I'm folding this, putting it aside for now. And this, I'm going to fold it so that I can have very, very long strips. I have some missing here, so I'm going to take out a good chunk. I'm going to line it. Okay. I'm taking that out. Okay. Taking this edge. Out since it's a fold. Alright, so when I'm cutting my strips now, I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, and 4 strips. And each one is going to be double the length of this because this is folded, right? And I'm doing strips that are 2.5. Okay, so here are my first strips. So I have 2 in this length, and they're gonna have to be joined. So I got 2 like this, and I keep cutting strips. There are 2.5. So I need to join them. Obviously, we're not going to do that in red. That was for my apron. So I'll change the thread, and what I'm going to do is join all of my strips to make one continuous strip, and then I have to fold it in the middle and iron it. That's the part that takes the longest for me. So this doesn't have a front or back, so it doesn't really matter. You would have to pay attention to it if you had a fabric that was, you know, if you had a right side and a wrong side. So you just basically, you take your fabric and you make a cross perpendicular like this, and you're going to sew from this corner to this corner in diagonal, and off I go. So what happens when you do that, right, and then you take this one and you place it the other way, you end up having this continuous band. And I got to do that through all the bands. Now, this part right here, you snip it off, because we don't need it. That's going to be bulk. Snip it here, here, and here, and here's my band, and all of this is gonna have to get flattened. Now what you want to do is make sure that the next one is in the same sense. Okay, so here, meaning you do them all the same way. Here we go. To another one. Same thing. So again, I'm going to join all of them to give myself one continuous ribbon. And it gets to be pretty long because, again, it's going all around. So here's this one. So now that I have this big ribbon, let me find the right side up right here. I'm going to fold it onto itself in half for the entire length, like this. And that's the beginning of my binding. And it's going to take a while because it's really long. So I'm ready to apply my binding, and it's super exciting because that means I'm done today. I switched to a walking foot. You can see right here that it has like a arm, like a Lego arm that goes onto this piece right here. And what happens is that as the foot goes forward, it has little grips here. So the feeding dog at the bottom and the grips on top help move the whole fabric, and that's great when you have multiple layers like the quilt. Now, oh, that looks like I have a halo. Now there's two, don't mind this. There's two ways of doing the binding. You can do it by hand or you can do it by machine. I'm doing mine by machine. So if you were doing it by hand, you would apply, let me get the front of my quilt. Okay. You would apply your binding with the opening facing up, and you would sew right here at about a quarter of an inch, right? And then you would flip that around like this, and you would sew the back by hand. But because I'm doing it by machine, I'm doing the other way around because I want my nice stitches to be in the front, right? So what I'm doing here is that I'm going to apply it to the back. Sew it on the back first, and then flip it towards the front, and that's where I'm going to do my nice line of stitching. And I'm going to pick a stitch length of 3, maybe 3.5. I'm thinking. Now let's do 3. Okay, so what you want to do is start somewhere towards the middle of an edge. You don't want to start at the corner or anything, and leave about a foot, just like that, dangling. And then you start applying your binding. So let me find the beginning somewhere right here. All right, so here's a length that I'm not going to sew yet because I'm going to need it to join it. So I'm going to apply my binding to the back like this. I'm going to line the edges, and then again, this is the open part right here, so that goes up, and this is the part that I just flattened with the iron, right? Once that's done, I'm going to sew that at a quarter of an inch. I'm going to flip this around like this. I'm sorry about the dog. And that's the part here that's going to be sewn with the machine. Perfect. So I'm going to use the edges of the foot right here as my guide. When I get to the corner, I'll show you how to fold it at the corner. All right, needle down. I'm going to do 2 stitches forward, 2 back. And off we go. So I'm coming onto the corner right here, right? So when I get to the corner, what I'm going to do is stop right about here, and instead of going to go straight, I'm going to stop and go in diagonal right into the corner. Watch this. So I'm almost there. Okay, I'm gonna lift my foot, flip this, bring my foot down, and I'm gonna sew directly into the corner. And I can go outside of it. Needle up. I'm gonna cut my thread. So what I'm gonna do now is fold it. So I'm going to take the piece that's right here, and I'm gonna fold it like this, following that little diagonal that I made, right? Do you see that? And then I'm going to fold it straight back like this, and I'm gonna go right back on sewing this way. Now I have this little bit here that I don't like, so we're gonna do this a little bit better. Here we go, and like this. So you want it to be aligned here, and you want it to be aligned right here underneath that fold. Don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so you can pin it if you want. Okay, let me pin it so it doesn't move. I'm going right back under my needle, but I'm going to start straight from the top here. That's one of the reasons why you want to do this with the walking foot, because that will grab it. Needle down. I'll do a couple of forward and backward. Okay, and off we go until the next corner. Remove my little pin. I don't need it anymore because I just cut that corner. And here we go. And then what's going to happen when I get towards the part where I have this loose piece, right? I'm going to stop about a foot from it, and I'm going to leave another piece of loose bias or ribbon, whatever you're binding. All right, so at some point, I'll have the start of the first one, and then I will stop the other one. I will leave a gap of about a foot in between, and both of them will have a loose piece. That's the piece that we have to join together so that we have a continuous binding all around. When I come back, I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so just as I mentioned, what you do is that you leave those two pieces that are loose right here, right? Let me put my quilt right here so it's right where it needs to be. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this here. I'm gonna cut it a little bit because it's a bit too long. I'm gonna cut it right here. All right, so I have the one on the right being placed, and the one on the left is gonna go right over it like this. And what I'm gonna do is that right where it intersects right here, I'm going to count 2.5 inches. The 2.5 inches is exactly the size of my binding. All right, so here's 2.5. I'm going to mark that with a pencil, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut right on that mark. And I don't need this. So I cut it to size. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to flip this one towards me. That's the right side of the fabric. And I'm going to flip this one towards me, that's the right side of the fabric. And I'm going to put this one, whoop, I got fabric all over. Okay, I'm going to put this one like this, right side to right side. And I'm going to place them perpendicular to each other with no overlap, like this. And here we go. And I'm going to use pins to hold them in place, one here and the other one right here. And you see that I already drew a line. Okay, oops, right here. And you see that I already drew a line from one corner to the other, and basically what I'm going to do is sew directly onto this line. Then I'll take out this piece right here, leaving about 1/4 inch seam. And what's going to happen is that when this is flipped over again, I'll have a full continuous bend. Okay, so you can see right here where I did my stitching. I'm going to remove this and that. And you see how that goes? Alright, so what I'm going to do here is remove all of my excess right here. Flatten this. So now this is nice and flat, and what I'm going to do is pick up right where I left off, and I'm going to join where I started. So I'm going to do a straight line from here to here, and the whole binding will be applied to the back. So guess what? Now that I have the whole binding applied to the back, and this is the one portion that I just finished off, right? I'm going to flip it right side up. I'm going to start, I'm not going to do the corner yet, but I'm going to start just about here. I'm going to pull this and flip it over like this, and right along the edges here I'm going to do a straight stitch all around, and when I get to the corner I'll show you how to close that off. But basically this is what the binding is going to look like, and because this is going to be a little bit longer than the one in the back, I'm not going to see a line of stitching on the back here. It's going to be on the white part. Alright, so let me put that in the machine. I'm going to be here for a while. I'll come back when I'm ready to do the corners. Okay, I'm going to do my edge here. I'm going to move my needle a little bit to the left because I really want to be on the edges. If I'm too away from the edges, what's going to happen is that I have a piece of the binding here that's over time is going to curl up a little bit, and I don't want that. These are just personal preference. If you don't feel you can do the edges, yeah, that's perfect. Move it towards the center a little bit more. But I like the edge. Okay, stitch back and off I go, and as I'm moving I'm just flipping this over and making sure that I'm catching the edge of the quilt right into that fold. Thank goodness I have a spare. This is a street find. For some reason my machine stopped working on thickness. I tried it on regular and it's doing just fine on regular thickness, but it wasn't catching the bottom thread. I got really frustrated. I said, okay, forget it, let me change machines. And now I'm on my Singer. That was a street find, and it's working beautifully because it's all metal and industrial. And I'm at the end here. I'm going to show you how to do the corner. What I do for the corner is really easy. I bring this all the way here and I make it flat, and I sew all the way down, all down. So don't worry about this part here. I'm just going straight almost to the end. Okay. Then I do a couple of stitches backward. So what I do, I don't finish it off, right? I just go a little bit here. Then I really flatten this, and then right here I pinch it and I bring it over, and it meets right at the corner right here. Put that right back under the needle. Put my foot down, needle down. I do a couple forward, a couple backward. Okay. And here we go. I'm done. think if I stand on a chair, you'll be able to see the whole quilt. Here it is. Done. Hope you can see. Wow, it's huge. Okay. So, this is the quilt, and it's done. Here are the corners. So, on the back, I still have a couple of threads I need to remove, but on the back, this is what it looks like. Hold on. Like this, right? And then on the front, this is, and then on the front, this is what it looks like. Now, I had trouble with the machine. The Singer did a much better job, but this is not my best. In terms of binding, this is not my best. So I'm not very happy with the work that I did, but the quilt is still gorgeous. So I don't know, maybe in one summer when I have time, I'll remove the binding and do another one. Here's the back of it. You see how everything is individually quilted. I might be going too fast. It's the border. And these. Anyway, so here it is, one quilt down. Maybe if I have Scott helping. Is the heart on this side? Where's the heart? Yeah, oh my God, it's still too big. I can't show you this quilt. It doesn't fit the camera. It's done, Scott, what do you think?
Yeah.
I'm not happy with the...
Tall.
Huh?
It's tall.
It's huge. I think it's a square. I'm not happy with the binding, but it is what it is, you know? What? You wouldn't know. You just look at it and you're like, yeah, this is good. All right. Another blanket. I'm done. This was a great project. This was a great stash buster if you have a whole bunch of fabrics that you don't know what to do with it. You know that you don't have enough to do anything substantial. The Sweet Dreams by Pat Sloan is perfect for that. If you want to do it in multiple colors. Now, if you want to do it in tone on tone, that's a whole other story. But here it is. Another quilt is done. Hey guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the whole series and that I've inspired you. I'm covered in thread. I've inspired you to learn to quilt and quilt, or go back to quilting. This guy here is going to go in the wash with about 5 sheets of color catcher, and it's going to get washed a couple of times and used. Again, Mom called dibs on it, so it's hers. I got to put a label, cut out a few threads here and there, and I'm done with it. I thank you for watching. Give me a like, subscribe right here in the corner, and find me on Facebook and Instagram at My Great Challenge. Talk to you later. Bye! Hey, it's me, and guess what? Click that thumbs up if you really like this video. Thumbs down twice if you didn't. You can also share my video if you really liked it, or save it to watch later. Also, you can subscribe to my channel, but don't forget to click that bell button so you are always notified when I post a new video. Thank you for watching.